What's up, you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, before we actually get into it, I just wanted to do a quick little mention of what you guys are seeing on screen. So you guys might recognize this as like the eye meme that's been going around on Instagram and Twitter as of recent, and I just wanted to do so and kind of do it in real time so you guys can see how I personally would illustrate these and just have it be a really cool, chill, laid back video, because this is going to be a Q&A, so I just wanted things to be a really like nice cozy vibe so you guys could just sit down and draw alongside me or watch something that I personally think is a little bit satisfying to watch. So getting straight into the questions, number one, we have: what are the features you first look at when creating the base sketch of a human from ref? Example: width to height of eyes, shape of nose, hairline, torso, hands, etc. So for me, the first thing that I generally tend to look at when I'm looking at a figure is actually their jawline, because I'm one of those people where when I am illustrating a character, I start from the base of a circle and then I go immediately towards like the chin jawline area. So if somebody has like a very square jaw or round jaw or like a really prominent chin, those are one of the first things that I see when illustrating that particular character or person. The next question is: how do you go about matching the eyes when they are from an angle, since they will appear to be different sizes? And for me, I think the only thing that I can really say is to kind of look at reference photos, because I never really get this thing particularly correct either, especially not when I'm working directly from memory, because the eye shape when it's at an angle is like so kind of difficult to explain. It's not perfectly round, and then like with differing types of eyelids, like if you have hooded eyelids or like a monolid, that changes how the eye looks from a different angle in a certain perspective. So my main thing would definitely be to how many times am I gonna say definitely? My main thing would be to surely look at a reference photo and then try to study it and learn how the eye changes when it's at a different angle, because that's what's helped me. That's the only thing I can really do. I definitely will go to reference if I'm drawing an angle that I'm not familiar with. The next question is: if you could tell your amateur artist self one thing, what would it be? And that is to practice. So I'm very much somebody that stays within my comfort zone a lot of the time, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with staying in your comfort zone. A lot of popular artists, this might be a little controversial, and I also might not say their name right, but Kushina like Ilyov or something like that. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That Russian artist who uses like the same palette and the same character in every illustration, and everybody loves their work because the work that they do is well done, but it also is very much, you can tell, their comfort zone. They have, of course, like gone way outside of their comfort zone as well, with like really detailed backgrounds and things like that, but a large majority of their portfolio is very much like a cute girl in black and white with maybe one color to accent the illustration or the character in some way, shape, or form. So there is nothing wrong with staying inside of your comfort zone, but one thing that I will say, for example, me personally, I'm currently working on a project that is very difficult for me because it involves a lot of things that I don't normally draw, like cars and masculine men and perspective and things like that, but it's a project that I'm really passionate about, and I don't know if it's ever going to come to fruition, but it is something that I am very excited for. But because I stay in my comfort zone so often, I don't know how to draw 90% of this illustration, so it's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of time that had I practiced those things and gone outside of my comfort zone more, it maybe might not have been as difficult as an illustration as it is going to be for me. So I would definitely, my biggest thing would be to practice even if you don't want to. The next question we have is: do you ever get stressed and feel pressured to draw? If so, how do you maintain your stress and keep yourself calm? So yes, I absolutely feel stressed to draw so very frequently, because art is my job. I do YouTube, I do Patreon, I do Instagram, all of that, and once it becomes your job, there is a bit of an added stress. You feel like you should be posting on a near constant basis and all of this other stuff to please the algorithm. So yeah, I definitely do feel that stress on occasion, but when I notice that I'm feeling that way, I have to stop myself and tell myself to do something that's just for me and not for a platform, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to draw anything. For example, when I say that I have art block, I don't mean that I have no ideas. The issue is that I have ideas, but I cannot execute them properly because I'm feeling so anxious. I'm just trying to push art out there, and then I'm not happy with anything that I'm creating. So what I do, and what I have been doing for the past few months, is when I notice that I'm feeling that way, I verbally tell myself, like, hey, you are getting anxious, you are getting stressed out, you will not create good art when you're feeling this way, so do not force yourself to do so. You need to take time to make a snack, get something to eat, drink some water or whatever other beverage of your choice, maybe watch a YouTube video or a studio vlog if you feel like you want to stay productive but not necessarily do anything that's productive. Just something that might make you feel as though you are being productive, like you're studying almost to what other artists are doing, or play a dang video game. Like Hades has been so helpful for like taking me away from like the stress of what I'm doing at the moment. And then once I've played a couple rounds and gotten through like Elysium for like the 4th time, then I'm like, okay, I can relax a little bit. I can go back and make some art. I feel much better. And if you take that break when you come back to your art, it will look so much better than when you were trying to force yourself to create it. So, main way to keep yourself calm is to just recognize when you're feeling that way, take a break, step away from your art, and come back to it when you feel a little bit better. This next one is actually a couple different questions. So first up we have, do you still own a copy of your first piece? No, unfortunately, I do not. I really wish that I did. I do own a copy of my first digital piece, thankfully, but like overall, my artwork as an artist that I have of like not backup, but like older work, I do not have that much of it because I regretfully threw a lot of it away. I do this thing sometimes. I don't really do it anymore because of this exact reason. But when I deep clean my room, I tend to also throw away things like sketchbooks because I feel like they're just taking up space. But now I sincerely regret not having those sketchbooks to look back on and see what my art used to look like. I do luckily have a few of like starting at my oldest, I think would be like my freshman year of high school. So luckily I do still have like some older art that's like 8 or so years old, which is so disgusting to think about. Very bad. But yes, I do have some older artwork, luckily, that I can, look back on and see, so that's really nice. I also am having an existential crisis right now because I just realized my freshman year of high school was almost 10 years ago. Hate that. Anyways, I do have some of that older art, but I don't have any from when I was in like middle school or elementary or anything like that, but I very much wish I do. I might have some that my mom has kept over the years in a different area, but I don't have any personally in my room where I keep my stuff. I do, however, have my first digital piece, like I said. You can find it on my DeviantArt. I will not be listing it here because I don't really necessarily want people to go and see it, but little not spoiler, but little secret is I have gone through my DeviantArt on this channel, so if you can find that video, you can find my DeviantArt if you really, really want to go and look at it, but I would strongly advise against it. It's not that good. It's all Hetalia and Homestuck. So yeah, strongly would not recommend. But that is, I think I could say some of my oldest art that I personally have is available on my DeviantArt. But other than that, I don't actually have any, and that makes me really sad. The next question is, how do you keep yourself motivated? So how I keep myself motivated is I really like to make lists. I think it's really helpful for, especially if you're freelance and you don't necessarily have your own schedule of like somebody telling you you're going to do this then and this at this time. It's very much helpful if I have a lot of things on my plate to kind of be like, this is what you're doing here, this is what you're doing here, and just writing it down and planning out my day. And of course, I have the ability to free up my schedule if I need to move things around or change things, but having a structure when I start with my week or my month is very helpful, because otherwise I'm just kind of flying blind and I don't actually really get anything done, and it can be very stressful to kind of be working all over the place, which of course, if I'm stressed out, it's very much not likely that I'll be motivated to do anything. Another thing that really keeps me motivated, that is definitely not going to be for everybody, beverages, particularly iced coffee. I don't know what it is about iced coffee, especially like store-bought like iced mocha like mixes you can just put in the fridge and like pour over ice. Love those. First thing in the morning, get out of bed, make an iced coffee, and I feel incredibly productive and like excited to draw, and like my day is starting. I don't need coffee to wake up in the morning, but coffee does help me feel incredibly productive. It's just like something about it really like perks me up, not in like a caffeinated way, but in like a, oh yeah, the mood is set, I'm about to work. So I really like iced coffee for that. But again, it's not going to be for everybody. Some people despise coffee, but that personally is something that really, really helps me. I'm sorry if you can hear my Roomba zooming in the background. The next question is any advice to other artists? And then I would say, again, just back to the previous about practicing, practice, because it really does help. Again, if you have an idea like that where it's something that you really want to execute, it's nice to practice things that you don't necessarily want to draw in case something like that does come up, because then you'll have the skills to be able to execute that idea. Even if you don't use those skills very often, it's nice to have them sort of on the back burner. Another thing I would also suggest in regards to practicing is really checking out that anatomy hacks video that I did, because it's really helpful for kind of like breaking down reference photos and actually trying to learn from them rather than just staring at them and trying to recreate them. And another tip I would recommend is if you're somebody who really struggles with using references, particularly like in the sense of you're trying to copy it realistically so that you can learn from it. I am someone who I hate doing it that way. I hate looking at a reference photo and trying to draw it realistically, because I did that all throughout high school, and it didn't really help me when it came to translating things in my style. It did help in some aspects, like learning how the general structure of the face works, but when it came to like stylizing different features like the shape of the eyes or the eyelids or noses or lips or things like that, or jawbones, anything like that, recreating it and drawing it realistically didn't help me realize how I wanted to translate that into my own style. So what I do is from the get-go, when I am practicing stuff like that, I try to immediately, put it in my style. I know it kind of sounds counterproductive, but it's really hard to explain, but it actually has been really working for me. If you want a visual example of what I mean, I would highly recommend checking out my most recent sketchbook tour. There's a lot of studies in there, and they are all highly stylized, and have been helping me a lot more so when it comes to like changing different features than just if I were to draw it realistically and then try to be like, okay, well, how do I make this look like it's my style, Very hard to explain, but hopefully after watching that video, it will make a little bit more sense. The next question is, what's your favorite piece of art you made? And actually, my favorite piece used to be that Decor Girl. If you guys have seen my Etsy shop, the profile picture for that photo, it used to be my favorite illustration ever in the entire world, but it was actually just last week that I was looking at it and I was like, wow, that's some anatomy that I had going on. It's definitely not my best work, and it used to be like, I used to tell myself, this is the best thing I've ever drawn. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. And while I do still love the illustration, it's still I wouldn't say my favorite piece anymore. I would say my favorite piece would probably be the last 2 batches of Patreon things that I've made. The Frog Girl sticker with the hat and the print for that month of March, I think are like my favorite things that I've ever drawn, because I did really experiment a lot with like style and lighting, particularly in the print. I think looks really nice. And then the Clown Girl stickers that I've made, I just put so much effort into the hair for that pink girl, oh my lord, and I am very proud of how she turned out. I think she's super cute. The next question is, What age did you start taking drawing seriously? And I'm going to lump this in with how long did it take you to get to where you're at right now as in drawing skills. So I've been drawing for the last 18 years, and I mean that genuinely because like the first time I saw Lion King, I literally like took a piece of chalk and drew Timon on my basement walls. So like I've been drawing fan art for quite some time. However, I didn't really start taking drawing seriously until two different times in my life. The first would be when I was about 13 years old. I'm 22 now for reference. When I was 13, I took I saw this like concept art book for my favorite video game, and I was like, I need to be a concept artist. And then a few years later, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a concept artist. Would love to be an artist in general though. And that's what I ended up doing. But I didn't really start taking it seriously until I was about 18 years old, when I was like, wow, I need to start building a platform if I want people to know I exist as an artist. So that's when I started my Instagram and my YouTube channel and all this other stuff. So one other piece of advice I would say for artists is start your platform early, because I really regret not doing it when I was in like high school or something. Even if my art wasn't up to par then, I still could have grown and had like other artist friends online and stuff like that. So if you're a younger person watching this channel and you've ever been curious about posting your art online, I would definitely recommend doing it. There's tons of cool people that I've met through Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. So again, would highly recommend doing that. The next question is, what do you think about your drawing skills and which artists inspire you? So as for my drawing skills, I do definitely still think I have some learning to go, as does every artist, and every artist will say that for the rest of their life. Hopefully, if they're a good artist always recognizes when they have room for improvement. If you think that your art is perfect, you're not going to improve. So yeah, I definitely have a ways to go, but lately I've been able to look at my art and think that I really like what I'm creating. So that's definitely a big thing for me, and it makes me really happy. As for what artists inspire me, there's a lot. I cannot even remember all of them, but the two that are sticking out for me a lot right now, as in I've been consuming a lot of their content both on YouTube and on Instagram, would be Alicia Nye, Sonia Stegman, and Blue Satan. I would definitely recommend all of those artists. They're great. I would also recommend anybody that if you click on my Instagram following tab or my TikTok following tab, any of those people on there as well are huge inspirations for me and are super wonderful. Highly recommend them. The next question is, did anyone close to you or a family member ever tell you to give up on art? So nobody has ever expressly told me to give up on art, but of course, as any artist has ever heard ever for the history of ever, artists will always hear like, oh, it's a stable income. Do you have a backup? Like, do you have a plan for anything else? And I do definitely get that one a lot, but no, nobody's ever told me to give up on art. And if anybody has, I would strongly recommend not listening to them, because even if it is taking a while to pick up and grow your art, this is my third year on YouTube. I didn't grow very much at all my first year, and then my second year I not only doubled but like almost like quadrupled the amount of growth that I had in my first year. And then I had that same amount of growth in just the first couple months of this year. So like my channel took a while to like start growing, but once it did, you guys started coming super fast at me, and it's like super awesome. But it did take a long time, and I'm sure that was scary for the people around me to be like, hey, you gonna do anything else anytime soon? But no, nobody's ever expressly told me to quit, and if somebody tells you to quit, don't listen to them. Please continue to make your art, even if it takes a long time. If you need somebody to support you, if nobody around you supports you, I do. Hi, I'm around you now. My DMs are always open if you need to like vent to me, or if you need to talk about art, or if you have questions about, becoming a freelance artist. I know I'm not like the most popular artist on YouTube, but I do have a little bit of experience with like commissions and freelancing and things like that. that. So if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. I'd love to answer and support you guys in any way that I possibly can, because you guys are always doing so for me. The very last question is, what's the best way to get better at drawing faces from photos? And I'm gonna rush through this one because we are almost out of time. But I would say just check out, again, that anatomy hacks video that I did. Focus on breaking things down into very simple shapes, because it's a lot easier than just looking at a reference and trying to completely recreate it from scratch. Yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I rushed through that voiceover a little bit. This video is legitimately in real time, so I did have to make sure that the voiceover fits within the confines of the illustration. But again, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons, Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Schleeps, Created by Twins, and Crew. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me every single month. If you guys want to get a shout out alongside these awesome people, as well as really cool rewards like digital downloads, prints, stickers, and all sorts of other stuff, you can check out the Patreon. That'll be linked down in the description alongside all of my other social media. As always, I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.